Alright guys, in today's video we have more PlayStation news and information to go over and discuss. Before we dive into today's topics, do me a big favor, hit the like button to help this video out and show your support if you do enjoy them or if you do find them informative. It really helps it out more than you know. And if you are new here to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. We're starting here though talking about Horizon Forbidden West, a PlayStation exclusive that I think pretty much every PlayStation fan is excited about. We're eagerly anticipating more information on this title, specifically a release date, and recently there were reports, multiple reports, claiming that Sony made the decision to internally delay Horizon Forbidden West, and they have yet to make that announcement officially yet. And so this is what everybody's waiting for. Will Sony announce officially that Horizon is not going to be releasing this year? It's going to end up being a 2022 title. And a lot of people feel somewhat torn. But what adds to this is more recently over on the PlayStation Japan Twitter account, they released a new trailer that specifically focuses on 2021 PlayStation titles. And in this new trailer that again was released just a few days ago, they focus heavily on Horizon Forbidden West. So some PlayStation fans are looking at this and they're saying, well, I guess there's no reason to believe these reports claiming that Horizon has been delayed, because if it was delayed, why would they be showcasing a new trailer that features specifically, again, 2021 titles and then put Horizon in there? And I do think that this makes a lot of sense. I think it's completely logical to come to this conclusion, but something we do have to understand is that with marketing material like this, it's usually made well in advance. So even though we're just seeing this new trailer now, it's likely that it was made weeks ago, possibly even months ago. We really have no way of knowing exactly when it was made. And there's a good chance that when they were making this trailer, they had no idea that Horizon was going to be delayed. And if Horizon was delayed more recently, it's very unlikely that the individuals who are running the PlayStation Japan Twitter account know about that. And so you could make that argument that, well, if they did know about it, or, if Sony did notify their marketing teams about it, maybe it would have been best for them to edit Horizon out of that trailer rather than mislead people, because I have seen quite a few people look to this trailer and say, well, there we go. It's still on track for 2021 and it's not going to get delayed. It would be a bit of a strange look to, get this trailer just again a few days ago and then find out maybe a week or two later, oh, it's actually delayed. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I just wanted to take a moment to talk about this and give you my thoughts on it. What I think you should do is not take anything from it. I don't necessarily think you should believe these reports 100% that Horizon is delayed, but I also don't think you should look at this trailer and assume that this is some type of explicit confirmation from Sony that Horizon isn't delayed. I think right now it's very much up in the air. If I had to tell you which side I'm leaning on, I'm leaning more towards the side of I think it's going to be delayed into 2022. I do believe Bloomberg's report, mainly because they seem so sure of themselves. It's really going to backfire on them in a pretty significant way if it turns out that Horizon does end up releasing in 2021. So I just wanted to take a moment to talk about this. I've seen a few people bringing it up. And so just keep your expectations in check. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying I'm not going to believe any reports. As of right now, this game is on track for 2021, but you do also want to be prepared for the abrupt announcement that, hey, Horizon is actually a 2022 game. We're moving on to the next topic, though, which focuses on the PlayStation 5 expansion slot once again. Specifically, we're asking the question, what happens if you put a slower SSD inside of your PS5? And it turns out that The Verge's Sean Hollister wanted to find this out, and you might be surprised by the results. So this is reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, and it says Hollister's tests landed on the ADATA XPG Gamix S50 Lite, one of the slowest PCIe Gen 4 drives that still meets other compatibility requirements, in this case being the proper size to fit the narrow expansion bay on the console. The XPG Gamix S50 Lite reads at 3.9 gigabytes and writes at 3.2 gigabytes, notably lower than the internal PS5 SSD and under Sony's recommended specifications. To run his tests, they used the internal PS5 SSD as a control, got a 5GB Sabrent Rocket 500GB SSD to get a baseline for for the expansion bay, and then of course use the slower XPG S50 Lite, ultimately testing through a variety of games, such as Returnal, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, showed that there was little to no difference in loading times from startup to gameplay, whether they were using the internal SSD, the faster expansion, or the slower than recommended ADATA SSD. Differences were a matter of 1 second slower, 2 at the most, and in some cases the ADATA even performed faster. Likewise, they tested transferring games among different drives and didn't notice any drastic differences. However, The Verge notes it appears that Sony may be throttling the write speeds of the PS5's own internal drive when looking at the transfer speeds to the SSDs. It appears to take more than 5 times as long to send games to the internal PS5 SSD as it does to the expansion drive. It took only 2 minutes and 26 seconds to send both PS5 and PS4 copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake to the Sabrent SSD, but 12 minutes and 47 seconds to go back to the PS5, over 5 times longer. Sony didn't have a comment when The Verge reached out to ask about it. However, people likely won't be transferring games all that often, so the actual gameplay performance is the most important part here, including next-gen specific optimizations. The Verge notes that Integrate, the PS5 optimized version of Final Fantasy VII Remake, was impressively fast, going from PS5 home screen to gameplay in under 10 seconds, no matter which drive they used. The PS4 version in comparison took over 40 seconds, even on the SSDs, and even longer from an external HDD. Hollister also noticed a bizarre observation in his tests with Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales. In some cases, the game would boot up with the logos first, creating an extra unskippable loading time of 26 seconds. Other times, however, the game skipped the boot logos and went directly to the main menu. Hollister was unable to come to a firm conclusion on what created this discrepancy. However, Hollister concludes that with a caveat that the higher speed specs from Sony could be future-proofing. While PS5 games right now may not take full advantage of it, they could require the extra speed in a few years. Naughty Dog's next game may not perform as admirably on a slower SSD expansion once they've had the chance to really push the console to its limits. In fact, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart may already show some instances of slowdown where performance takes a hit. So while the PS5 will apparently let you use an SSD that is below specs, it's not recommended and may not be a good investment in the long term. This will probably only apply to PS5 exclusives and first-party games that are optimized for the higher speeds, however. So I know that was quite a read, but I did find it very interesting, and I think many of you will as well, where it turns out that if you are somebody right now who does want to get that extra storage in your PS5, you can definitely go with a lesser performing SSD, and it seems that everything will be okay, but as it warns here, in the long run, you could potentially run into some issues, so you do have to keep that in mind. Moving right along to the next topic, we're talking about PlayStation VR 2. We have some new information on the next-gen headset from Sony, and this is reading from WCCF Tech. They say the PlayStation VR 2 headset is going to improve the VR experience on PS5 considerably. PlayStation VR Without Parole, a well-known source for PSVR information, revealed in a new video shared today that Sony confirmed some of the PSVR 2 details in a new developer summit. During this summit, it has been confirmed that the next-gen PSVR headset will feature Fresnel OLED screens with a 2000 by 2040 resolution per eye, HDR display, and a 110 degrees FOV. The PSVR 2 will also use flexible scaling resolution in addition to foveated rendering, which together with eye tracking will let the headset scale resolution based on the player's view and thus reduce the impact on performance. The headset will also use haptics to reduce motion sickness and improve immersion. According to PSVR Without Parole, Sony also revealed some new details on the new controller. The new controller will feature capacitive touch sensors in addition to the haptics and adaptive triggers that have been confirmed earlier this year. With the PSVR 2 headset, Sony is also looking to move away from VR experiences that are predominant for the current headset and focus on AAA games that can be played both with and without VR. Some original PSVR games may also be remastered for the next-gen headset. Sadly, it seems like we aren't going to hear much about the PSVR 2 release date in the near future. Apparently, Sony will talk more about the headset's launch plans in early 2022. So that is a lot of very interesting information about PSVR 2. The specs obviously sound very good. This sounds like it's going to be a massive, an incredible leap over the original PSVR headset. Sounds like there's going to be some pretty awesome tech inside of it. But what I'm also very interested in is what is being said here about Sony's focus on the VR experiences, specifically wanting them to be AAA experiences that can be played both with and without VR. This is going to be very different compared to what we saw with the first iteration of PlayStation VR. It sounds like Sony is taking their AAA game philosophy that they're currently applying to the PlayStation 5, and they want to also apply it with the VR headset, which in a way does make a lot of sense. If it's working for the PlayStation 5, why wouldn't it work for the PlayStation VR headset? What interests me the most is the fact that these are going to seemingly be experiences that will not require the headset. So it's almost like the headset is going to act as a just a completely different way to experience these games. I mean, I have to imagine that some of these titles that are being worked on behind the scenes that we just don't know anything about right now from some of Sony's first party, you have to imagine that they're taking VR into account. I think a game like GT7 is a given, right? Like that's a game where it would just make total sense to make it a VR game that can also just be played, you know, without having to have the VR headset. We also think of like Resident Evil 7. That was a game that was made for PlayStation VR, and it was also a game that didn't require the headset to play. It was just a different way to experience it. So let me know down in the comments below what you think about this, but that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you did find it informative. Again, I hope you did enjoy it. Be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.